Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is my 2002 Yamaha Warrior 350. Today it'll be a chain replacement. As you can see, both rear adjusters are all the way adjusted in, and the chain is still sloppy as shit. I'm not quite sure what the tension is supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be a little bit tighter than that, but I know it's supposed to be, you know, loose as normal. That way it has some play in it and it doesn't create heat, but I'm not sure how much that is. I'll have to look into it, but anyway, this is the chain and sprocket replacement. All I'm doing is the stock sprocket sizes. I bought a chain braking tool. I think that's what it's called anyway. And I'll open up the box and show you guys, but it will be going on that thing. All right, you guys, so this is the supplies. I got a 40-tooth rear sprocket and a 13-tooth front sprocket. I had to label them because they aren't. I don't know how long the Sharpie is going to stay, but the paint will definitely stay off of that one there. I just scratched it in there. And this blue O-ring chain looks pretty cool. Looks almost the same as... That might actually be identical. Wow. But I got this new chain. It has 120 links, and I believe the Warrior from the factory comes with 98. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that one off and lay it out and see how long this one is, and then just cut it using the tool and cut off as much as I need. But first, I also got to run the adjustments all the way back out. That way it can start from the beginning and stretch out the new chain, and I can readjust it as time goes on. So the first step to taking the chain off is actually to take this wheel off and this little cover, which is supposed to be held on by 3. 1, 2, 3. Problem is that I don't have that one, and it's stripped out in here. So eventually I just ram a bigger bolt in it. But for now, take these 2 off, and then there's 4 nuts holding the wheel on while it's jacked up off the ground. The wheel lug nuts are 14. You can just take them off with that. And then there will be 4 washers holding them on if you still have them. And toss these. Wow, that's what made it all the way over here. Just toss these aside. Take the wheel off. And look, there's all the washers. Put them with the nuts there. And then roll the wheel aside. And then from here, what you got to do is take the big sprocket off. You can see, well, I guess actually that's not true. The next thing you do is find the master link. Let's see if I can find it here. Here it is. This piece right here. And I'm going to have to take a hammer and screwdriver and hit it off this way so I can pull out that link, and then I can pull the chain off. Alright, so I got the old master link off. Looks like it was a non-O-ring chain. And it was a little difficult to do. I had to use a freaking screwdriver to hammer off the little clip. And then from there, I had to use it to pry the cover off of this link here, and then I could slip it right through. And now you just take the chain off, and now you can get the rest of the chain out and lay it out on the ground. And look, this is something you should not be able to do with frickin' chains. Like, that's a really tight curve. Obviously, you're supposed to be able to do it a little bit, otherwise it wouldn't be flexible. But I mean, seriously, a damn near half circle. I mean, that's not good. But yeah, so now it's time to unravel, or take the old sprockets off. And now is a good time to check your bearings and make sure it rolls really nicely and doesn't have any play in it. And This thing is actually really solid. I don't know if you can see it, but this brake rotor has a warp in it. You can see it moving the rear caliper there, but yeah, so now it's time to take the rear sprocket off, and what you got to do is there's 6 nuts and 6 studs, and then for every 2 there's this long kind of clip thing. You need to get a screwdriver in there and bend these clips out so you can get a socket over top of the nuts and unbolt it. You can see right there. All you got to do is take a screwdriver, ram it in there, and then hammer that flat, and then you can undo all the nuts, and that will be next. All right, you guys, once you've bent the tabs and gotten all the nuts off, you want to take all these clips and keep them. And I just use the impact. These are also a 14mm nut, by the way. And then you can slide the old, dead, worn out, bent up sprocket out. This is actually okay for how old it is, but if you set it side by side, you can see that each gap has been worn out a little bit, and all the teeth are smaller, so new sprockets are definitely going to be an improvement. And the front sprocket is always going to be worse because, for one, it's got way less teeth to handle the same size chain, and it's the drive sprocket, which means it's got the vibration from the engine, and it's what's driving the rear one. So this one's going to wear down a lot faster than any of the other ones on multi-sprocket appliances or whatever. And now I got to take this off and get the front off. I will come back when the cover is off. All right, you guys, for the front sprocket, you got to bend back one of these tabs here as well. You can kind of see the tabs on either side, and then you got to just twist. What? I haven't even touched that. Wow, you guys, that was loose. I didn't even know that. It's got up and down play in it too. Not because of the bearing, but... And you can... That thing is worn out, man. Okay, so all you gotta do is take a screwdriver and bend that back too, and theoretically I was gonna have to use a wrench to get this off, but apparently not. I wonder if this nut wasn't ever tightened from the factory. That doesn't make sense to me though. But that's why the clip's here, guys, is so that doesn't fall off. You can see it won't go anywhere, but I think we're just going to tighten that down barely at all and then just put this back on, but I'm super surprised that that wasn't even... That's freaking... It's not even finger tight. It's loose. Like if that wasn't there, it would have just spun off. God damn, it's a good thing I'm replacing that, I guess. Alright, I've hammered out all the tabs, and now I can theoretically... Yeah, just nuts. Pull that off. It's a weird divot. I haven't seen that before. Super fine threads, and then you pull off this little gasket, the little lock ring or whatever. And then, especially because mine is loose, mine can just slide right off. I'm not even showing you guys, sorry. You can just slide mine right off. Yeah, it's pretty much destroyed. That's all I can say. It is just destroyed. But that's why I got a new one. And as you can see, it's also the same. But this one is sacked out even more. Yeah, that's bad. They're both bad. Okay, I'm just going to put the 13 facing out. You slide it back on. Yeah, see, that's a tight fit. That actually like fits in there and doesn't have any play. Actually, now's a good time to see if the bearing has play in it too. And it does not. It is solid. That is good. All right, now that's in there. Now you can take the lock ring. Remember which way it was on. You can see the little boxy kind of looking thing to it. And this is the side that was out because that's where I hammered it. You put it back on. And take the nut. And I'm just going to tighten it a little bit. I'm not going to snug it down because obviously it doesn't need it. But I'm definitely going to have it tighter than it was before. That way this isn't just floating. We'll have to figure out what size nut it is, but I'll let you guys know. All right, so I found a 32mm socket, and it looks like it fits over top of it. It's not quite perfect. I think a 31 might be better fit, but you know what? I might just... Oh, another trick. Put it in gear. And then you have to turn the entire engine, so it'll give you some sort of lock. I'm just going to get a 1/2-inch drive and turn it about 20 degrees and call it good. If it gets stiff, I'll let you know. I don't think it's supposed to be very tight so that it can spin freely, but actually, I think I'm just going to leave it like that. Because it fits right in on that one. I'll just hammer that down and it's not going anywhere. So I don't know exactly if you're supposed to do that, but clearly this is going to work. So I think I'm just going to stop it right there because it is good. All right, you guys, so I just used a pair of these like channel lock style pliers, and I grabbed it and forced it back down, and I went ahead and did it on both sides to help keep that nut steady. And now it's time to install this sprocket. So I'll go around the axle shaft, and I believe looks like it's the small ones, small holes. Yep, so the small holes are what fit it. It's probably a multi-use sprocket. So now all you do is put all the clips back on. Obviously they go like this, not like this, unless you flip it like this, and that keeps them all the same. But as long as all three of them go on there so you can lock the nuts in place, it's good. Get the last one this way, and then you just want to put all these on. And I think there's obviously a specific torque you put them at, but when it comes to mechanics, that kind of stuff isn't super important all the time. So oops. So I'm just gonna use the impact gun and ram it on there. Not super tight. I'm not gonna hold it on there for like 10 seconds each, but I'm just gonna give it a quick torque. All right, once you get them all on there, like I said, you just do the star pattern like you're tightening lug nuts. And then you can use either side and use pliers and just peel the tabs back. All right, so both new sprockets are installed. Now it's time to lay both chains out. I'm going to count the links on the old one, see how many there needs to be, and compare how stretched out they are. And I am also going to run the adjustments all the way back in. In order to do that, you have to loosen this long bolt that goes across and this long bolt that goes across, and then you can back these out, and then all you got to do is kick the entire axle forward because it's like a cantilever design. It pivots on this one bolt here, and the whole axle scoots forward. So that's how you can adjust that. All right, once you've counted out that each of these are equal, you can tighten the top and bottom, I guess you'd call them pivoting nuts, bolts, even though this one doesn't pivot, this one slides. Anyways, you tighten these two bolts, and then you can tighten the jam nuts. And then your axle is locked in place. Now, let's get this chain out. Try to keep it clean because it's pre-greased, and lay it out. All right, you guys, I'm gonna try to make this simple. So, on the old chain, I counted 49 links on the outside, including this one, right? So when you start, you skip this piece and go to this one, and then count this one, and then count this one. If you count them all the way to the end, skip this one again, because when you connect this one to the very end, that creates one more. Without this one and with it laid out, I counted 48 of these outside ones. So I went ahead and counted 48 on this one. And then what I'm going to do is I marked it. Where'd it go? There it is. Put a little dot on this one. So as you can see, if that's the 48th and then it stops, I got to leave the 48th here and then disconnect the links here. So I have to get my link breaker tool, which is over there, and punch out this pin here, and then I can use the master link to connect this one over there. And by the way, I was wrong. I'm gonna have to redo all that again, because once I get the new chain on, then I have to adjust it to the specified tension. But anyway, yeah, so I'll try my best to teach you how to use this. It's as simple as, this was a $15 one from Harbor Freight. All you do is pull out this piece here. All right, so I have it right where I want to cut it, right on that, right after the dot. I'm gonna push out this pin. What you do is you line up, there's a hole inside this piece, and you put one of these outside pins and you fit it inside of that hole. And then you use this one to locate the holder, and then this is what you tighten against this to push that pin through the hole out this opening there, and then you will lose this much of the chain on here. Now be careful, because you can only do this once, so make sure you do it right the first time, unless you want to buy a new chain or put another master link in it. When you have punched out that hole, or pin I guess, then you can slide the old piece off. And then boom, now you only have that much of the chain, same amount of links. Now, let's compare the two side by side. They are both the same amount of links now, but let's put them together. All right, so this is them both together, and as you can see, the old one has stretched over a link longer than the brand new one. That is not good. And so, yeah, that's why I have to replace your chain. It stretches out, and as it stretches out, it eats away at your sprockets. So now we gotta run it up there, put the master link in it, and then adjust the axle. All right, you guys, so once you get it on and the master link put in, you wanna make sure you put the clip in backwards on the top of the chain, because as it's continuously rolling forward, you don't want it to be able to catch on something and knock that clip off. So you always want to make it so that the rotation, the general rotation of the chain is what would be putting it on even farther if it were even capable of doing so. After that, then you can adjust it using all that stuff. And I went ahead and did that, and I left about that much play in it, a lot tighter than it was before. And I jacked it up and let it fully drop all the way to make sure it didn't bind up. Basically, any chain probably can be as tight as it can go through the full travel without it binding up. As soon as it starts binding up, you start eating away at the bearing that the drive sprocket rides on. And I was able to move it up and down the whole travel without it binding up at all. Which is good, and it still had enough play in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and call that good. After that, you just put the wheel back on using the impact, and then you throw the cover back on, and theoretically, you should be good to go with a new stylish chain. Anyways, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment if you want to see more of the ATV. It will definitely be a future project that I will be working on more often. So see you guys in the next one.